right, welcome to the Marsh Pod, the inaugural, the first. Just an incredible time to be alive for everyone. Thank you for joining us. Wanted to get to one thing and one thing only, and that's this ongoing feud between Tyson Simpson and Marcus Leifot. That, at its core, is completely and wholeheartedly ridiculous and self-inflicted. This supposed drama started months ago, which we all know. Tyson Simpson decides to leave the North, formerly Toronto, where he said he wanted more playing time, he wanted more opportunity on the ball, and he wanted more creation opportunities, which clearly, whether directly or indirectly said so, is indicative of him being frustrated with the role that he played next to Marcus Leifot. That escalates. He decides he's going to leave. On his way out, plenty of dirty laundry is aired between both the North and Tyson Simpson on anything from coaching being not there, from teammates not being good enough, from both sides. Just simply a look into our closet and look at our dead bodies type of situation. Where we are now, where it seemed that this was done. Tyson Simpson said he was going to play in St. Louis for Beyond the Arc for head coach Tomas Kusa. In and of itself, the story was done. The season doesn't begin till March, but that should have been the ending point. But it hadn't been, and now we see that there's clearly plenty more that both sides want to get to that makes completely no sense. And the problem is at this point now, with everything that has come out within the last 2 weeks, was all completely avoidable. And all of this leaves no winners and only losers. So where are we now? Following the release of the video of Draymond Green punching Jordan Poole at a Warriors practice, Tyson Simpson came out and said he should have done that to Marcus. That reignites all of the kindling that had built up and grown dormant over the last couple of weeks and months since Tyson Simpson made that move. At that point in time, earlier this week, that decision paints Simpson as a bully. Why would you unprovoked make a comment the way he did when seemingly everybody else involved in the situation had moved on from the process? They had moved on from the incident. They were in two different camps. Marcus Leifot had talked about wanting to prepare, ready for the new season for the North. Tyson Simpson had basically said he's moved on, let's deal with it. Instead, when he could have let it all lay dormant, he decides to reignite it. And what it tells you is that beyond what we found out today, October 12th, as recording this, it tells us that Simpson is immature, that he has no direction. He has nobody in his camp that says, hey, maybe we don't. And that's not completely unheard of for high school-aged 17-year-olds to be in that situation. But for all outsiders, what it creates is that there's fear that Simpson cannot become the type of dominant leader that his skill set should allow him to be. He is now quickly gaining the reputation of, as I said, a bully, an instigator, and somebody that just frankly would not be someone that many teams at the next level will be seeking to add to an otherwise positive group. The immediate, for me, comparison that comes to mind is that of Boogie Cousins. Boogie Cousins was dominant, especially at his peak with Sacramento, but he never won games because he could never be coachable. He could never be the guy that fostered a reliable locker room. Instead, he was getting technical fouls, getting ejected, unable to control his own emotions. That's what Tyson Simpson is. And up until today, that seemed to be where this would all end up. But it didn't. Because, of course, now we have Marcus Leifot who says, I'm not going to sit around and do nothing, and I want to get involved in this. So then Marcus Leifot comes out and says, all honesty, you not like that joke? The whole North knows you, buddy. To get buddied by anybody is not a good thing. And certainly between two teammates, or rather former teammates, that used to have an extensive history of not liking one another, which we've seen aired over the last 2 months. And so while initially this painted Simpson as the bully, as the instigator, what Marcus Leifat has done has added another piece of kindling, another log to this fire that which we thought was dead continues to roar on. So why? Why on both sides are we doing it? Well, for Simpson, it makes no sense from the beginning. But for Marcus Leifat now, this is the exact opposite of what anyone wants, what anyone should have done, and what anyone needs. And it tells me another step of this entire situation, that the environment in Toronto for the North is completely leaderless. Two players that for the last 6 months before the summer were teammates, were working and striving towards a similar goal. If there was beef, which certainly there must have been, there was no opportunities, or at least no movement made to quench it, to quell it rather. No one stepped in and said, this is not how we operate. We're going to do this behind closed doors. At the end of the season, if something needs to be moved on, then we're going to do it, but we're not going to make a private issue public. So while Simpson and Marcus have gone back and forth, I wonder, where is the Toronto leadership? Why do we not have somebody within that organization stepping out to either of them behind closed doors and saying, this is enough. Whatever you guys have between the two of you needs to be stopped now. Because all it does is bring down one another. It makes both of them, especially now that Marcus has re-engaged in this, when he could have let this go, he decides to re-engage. All it does is bring the two of these individuals down. There should be question marks about Tyson Simpson being his type of personality. Can that be a player that coaches and organizations want to rely on, that they want to invest financial and physical assets into? But now Marcus Leifat is in that same situation. And truthfully, Marcus Leifat is in an even worse situation because he doesn't enter with the type of credentials that Simpson has. Simpson was one of the most dominant bigs in Silverworld Hoops last year. Marcus Leifat really wasn't. Marcus Leifat was, for majority of the season, the second fiddle for the North. Now he's going to get the opportunity to be the number one guy, at least until the recruiting picture solves itself. But now I think teams are going to look at the two of them and say, why are they both doing this? And why did nobody steer them in an opposite direction? I've seen the question asked, does it deserve a suspension? I would say flat out no. I mean, that's, for words, unless it's a legitimate threat beyond I should have punched him, suspensions should not be handed out. And as I said on the post up earlier this week, why would St. Louis, why would Tomas Krusa inflict another wound in themselves by suspending their new best player? That doesn't make any sense. But again, now there needs to be leadership from the two of them. Now there needs to be leadership from each organization, from Beyond the Arc and from the North, to say, whatever you guys need will not be solved in tweets, in posts, and in any other capacity beyond on the court. The first time these two teams meet should be exciting. It will be exciting. But we've got a long way to go to get there, and in the meantime, both sides are best served if they just take a step back and let it all die.